This is Rob Heppel from funeralfutures.com, and today I'm with Craig Williams. Craig, welcome to Funeral Gurus.
Pleased to be here.
If you could just introduce yourself to the viewers.
My name's Craig Williams, and I'm a licensed funeral director here working for McCall Bros, our family business in Victoria, BC.
Now, Craig, you represent the fourth generation of funeral directors here at McCall's. Your great-grandfather and his brother started that in 1921, and it's being passed on now to the fourth generation. Now, Craig, we could talk on a number of topics, and we are going to cover a couple of them in this interview series. But one thing about what McCall's does differently than some other funeral homes is personalizing pre-arrangements, and I think that's what we're going to talk about now. But first of all, for the viewers, for the general public, just first of all explain the basic process of making a pre-arrangement. Once someone decides that they want to have their affairs looked after and in order, what could they expect in that arrangement process?
Well, Rob, usually it's a four-step process. Usually, firstly, we would obtain some vital statistical information. This is information that the government requires here in BC for registration of death. Secondly, we'd ask them some of the major decisions, whether it's going to be burial or cremation. And then, furthermore, what we would do is we would ask them some of the further details, dealing with the music, any specific scriptures, sort of the details of the service. Mm-hmm. And then from there, finally, we would ask them, if prepayment is something that they would like to do, that we'd go through the options there.
Okay. Now, we are going to actually focus on that third section. So once people have decided what type of service they're going to have, whether it's going to be a traditional type of funeral service or a memorial gathering or what have you, or anything in between, and they've chosen either burial or cremation, I know that McCall's really goes into the personalization, and so that third step of getting those specific details. So, the basics would be, I guess, writing out someone's obituary notice and obviously leaving a few blanks there. Yeah. But what are some of the other smaller details?
Sometimes people can do as little or as much as they really want. From bringing in the obituary ahead of time, that's something that they do. We've also had people, bringing in the information as grandkids and great-grandkids enter the family. That's something that they do. A lot of the memorialization that we're doing in services now, dealing with the video tributes and the memorial folders, people are bringing them in ahead of time, whether it's just the pictures or the specific scriptures or the readings or the poems or the poetry that they'd like mentioned on those folders.
And you were actually saying that in the past, actually, people have actually brought in the actual memorial folders sitting in the cabinet, and
absolutely,
you just had to add the dates at the time. And
exactly right. Yeah.
And so, what are some more of the other things, like what kind of tools or worksheets that do you use to help make those services as meaningful as possible?
Well, Rob, one thing that we do here, and we found it to be a great benefit to not only our staff but the celebrants and the clergy that are going to be eventually taking the service. It's a worksheet where the family fills out all the names and dates of things that they loved, memberships that they were part of throughout their life, especially if it's right down to special recipes, special things that that the rest of the family might not necessarily know.
One of the things that when you're showing me the worksheet is that there's actually an area for the nicknames and maybe when they're a child, maybe their grandparent called them a certain nickname. That's right. And then as they go through the generations, they could fill that out, and those are those treasures that don't always get passed on from generation to generation.
Well, absolutely. Like I said, Rob, it's been a very useful tool, and I've gone through the process with our family, and I still have that, and I can look back at that and say, wow, that's right, Grandma was called so and so, and it is a treasure that I think it's very important.
Now, also, just because some people make their pre-arrangements, doesn't mean that that's kind of etched in stone and it's done. You obviously allow people to phone in and update things and make some changes because they hear a new song or want a different hymn or that type of thing.
Exactly. Nothing is set in stone. People can come in, call in, as over time, people's wishes may change. So we're more than happy to accommodate them and make any changes that they would really like.
Well, that's great. Well, Craig, thanks a lot for sharing. You're a guru, and you're watching funeralgurus.com.